Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to another episode of Secrets Exposed. This is the show that takes you up close and personal with world-leading business experts. And our topic for this interview is how to automate and streamline your business. That coming up in just a moment. My special guest today is entrepreneur and technology expert Scott Gellatly. And our topic for this interview is how to automate and streamline your business. Scott, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Dale. Love this topic. So excited.
Yeah, so tell me, where did your passion for automation sort of begin?
Well, Dale, automation has been in the enterprise scene for many years, and it's always been this clunky experience that really requires a rocket science degree to actually make work, right?
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years, the last 3 or 4 years, these light, cloud-based, easy-to-use automation tools have come onto the consumer market, which are not just beautiful and simple to use, but allowing the small business market, small business owners to punch really above their weight and scale their businesses up in ways that they could never before.
So now you don't need a computer science degree, or you don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on expensive software. Many of these tools are like really inexpensive, right? Sometimes maybe $50 a month, and you could be using software worth millions.
That's right. What may have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up in the past is now at the click of a button, and something that anyone without even a technological background can actually set up themselves.
All right, so what I want to do is establish what is automation, because it could mean different things to different people, but in the context of what we're talking about, which is helping people to grow their own business, what is automation?
Yeah, so automation is using technology to automatically do sort of repeatable and perhaps mundane tasks that humans may have used to do, but now can be done on a much more scalable level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like as an example, I know my hairdresser, I said to her about sending out emails, and she was saying it takes about 3 hours to send out an email. And I'm like, why does it take so long? And she was cutting and pasting 20 email addresses at a time, putting them in the blind carbon copy sort of field, and then sending them to herself. And she would do that, hundreds of times. And that's why it took sort of 3 hours to do a process that should take really 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, that's a really good example. Being able to send or design one email and send it out to thousands of people in one hit is the key for a small business to really scale way beyond that kind of restricted audience.
And I can even remember one of my first jobs was working at a facility where they had an attached gym, and I can still remember them every single month putting in every single person's credit card and processing them one at a time. To think of that now would just be crazy. But that's another example whereby automation now makes that the click of a button.
That's right. We used to need teams of accountants in our business to try to reconcile our bank accounts and code our transactions every month. Now, a lot of these transactions code themselves literally because they're a repeatable little pattern that a computer can learn, can understand, and then do for you.
Okay, so sell us on the benefits of automation. Hopefully most people are already sold, which is why they're watching, but why does automation matter if I'm running a small business?
Dale, there's 3, key things for me, and the first 2 are very practical. So the idea that we don't need, or we can take a lot of these extremely human-intensive, repeatable tasks and have a computer do them very quickly, very efficiently, and save a lot of cost in our business. So that, as you know, it's cost of business goes higher, the cost of wages is up, and our margins start to shrink. So to be competitive in the market, we need to create a super efficient business, and automation can help us do that. The other thing that I sort of touched on earlier, and you touched on with your email, is scale. With automation, we can now reach or outreach to thousands of people from one activity, rather than having to do that activity 1,000 times. So you've got this huge scale which is allowing small business owners to punch way above their weight. So there's the practical side, but I'm actually really interested in the more, sort of philosophical side, which is empowering humans to really be humans. We don't like data processing. We don't like sitting there clicking next and ticking yes or ticking no. We're creative beings, and we want to be engaged and challenged
and
in
solve
our work.
interesting
and
problems.
solve problems and find purpose in our work. We work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. It's a big portion of our lives. We want to find purpose in our work, and by taking that mundane activity, repeatable activity, that boring activity, if you like, away from us, it frees us up to be who we need to be, to find our true purpose and to add real value to our businesses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And when you were talking about before the cost saving, some people go, oh, but I'm just doing it all manually, but they don't realize that obviously time is money, and so if something's taking you 6 hours, you're not really doing it for free. That might be costing you $1,000 of your time or $5,000 of your time, by doing it a manual way instead of by using automation.
And great example of that, someone asked me the other day, but if I sign up for this marketing online tool, I've got to pay hundreds of dollars a month, maybe $200 a month. You've effectively reduced your overhead costs of your business by literally thousands of dollars, because you may have, as you said, your time is money, and you may not have thought about it like that, but sitting there and cutting and pasting that email 50 times is a lot of money.
And it's not just your time, it's the opportunity cost of investing that into income generating activities.
That's right.
Which is where you can really grow your business. And in many cases as well, using these automation tools, if you've got 5 to 10 employees, it could be saving you the cost of a full person's wages. And that could be $50,000 that goes straight to your bottom line, or $100,000 that's then extra profit in your business. So the cost of the tools, I think, are really insignificant compared to the saving.
Yeah, that's right. And they make money on scale themselves through automation, right? They're able to sell these things online over the internet to millions of people. So everybody benefits from really the same model.
All right, now just very quickly, we will come back to this in more detail, and we'll also mention a bunch of different tools. So you can take notes on different tools out there that you might want to consider. But what areas are we talking about in terms of automation? You can really go through every aspect of your business, right? If we're talking about your finance department, your bookkeeping, it could be your HR practices, it could be your marketing, it could be your sales, it could be just how you're managing kind of like rostering. There is no limit to the amount of ways in which automation can impact and penetrate a business.
You're spot on, Dale, and think of it as your org chart. Every element of your org chart, you can incorporate automation in some fashion, whether it's to scale a particular area of your business, create efficiencies in others, or just empower people, again, to add value in what they're doing.
And even social media now, there's tools to automate that. So it's really every single activity in your business.
That's right.
There's probably a tool for that.
There's a tool for that.
All right. So, and like we said, we dealt with the cost already. A lot of people think it's going to cost me a lot of money. What's your answer to that?
Look, as I said before, if you think back to even 5 years ago or so, before a lot of these tools became available, you did have to hire full-time people. Or those enterprise tools may have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement, and not to mention maintenance and getting them set up. So spending a few dollars a month on something that can allow you to reach 10,000 people instead of 10 people, to reach an international community instead of your local community, is instantaneous return on investment. In my mind.
And the other sort of objection that I'd like to clear before we can kind of continue is some people to go, oh, I'll wait until I'm a bit bigger, or I'll wait until I'm more successful, and then I'll look at automation later on. They basically put it in the too hard basket. But I know from my experience, I think it's easier to put in these tools as you're growing, because if you're already big, it's actually much harder to try and then break those inefficient systems down to replace them with better ones.
Yeah, you're spot on. I like to think of businesses like a spiral rather than maybe a linear journey, and we may start small, and our problems and the sort of things that we need to implement or automate might be simple to begin with, and there are lots of these simple, low-cost, easy tools that you can set up overnight without any technical experience. And as your business grows and you start to get more experience and your product changes and you adapt to your market, there are other tools sort of further up the chain. And we'll talk about that journey a little bit later on. But you can then sort of migrate to the next level of tool that has the next level of complexity and maybe a little bit more expensive, but it matches again the journey and the saving that you're going to make. And you go on that circular journey, if you like, as you create your business.
Yeah.
And the same thing with automation. Is that making sense?
It does. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we're going to go through 5 stages to the automation process. And so you'll have a roadmap about how to take these ideas and implement them into your business. And then following that, we're actually going to go through a bunch of different departments within a small business and talk about some of the tools that you may wish to consider. So a lot more to come. Keep watching. Welcome back to our interview about how to automate and streamline your business. We're now going to talk about 5 different stages that you'll need to go through in order to implement an effective automation plan. So let's continue and let's talk about these 5 different stages. What's stage number 1?
Stage number 1 is, it might sound a little bit trivial, Dale, but you need to know where to start. You've got to pick somewhere to start.
Yes.
And often you've got to look at your business and think, well, what part of my business is taking a lot of time to do? Can it be a repeatable task that could be potentially done by a machine? And a lot of people may think, well, my business needs people. It's very much a human relationship-based business. But if you do look carefully at your sales and at your marketing, I'm sure you'll find areas that could be scaled up to large groups of people, or could be made more efficient by automating. So pick one area to start with. You can't really go wrong as long as you start somewhere.
Right, and you also mentioned before the thing that's taking you the most amount of time or causing you the biggest headache. It could be just manually processing, credit cards every single month.
Exactly. What's causing you the most pain? Where is something in my business that is costing me a lot of money that doesn't really require potentially a human?
So it could be typing up receipts. Could be
reconciling bank accounts, like we mentioned before, is a good one.
Sending out emails to your database.
All really great spots. And again, it depends on the business, but if you look at your business, I think you'll find those pretty quickly.
Okay, so you're going to pick something that you're going to start, a battle that you want to
fight.
Exactly. And then number 2 is to start to think about the process. Now, what do you mean by that?
So I'm talking about what are the set of steps that we want our machine to do for us, if you like. What are those activities? What's step 1, then step 2, and then maybe there's a decision needs to be made and we might go across 2 different paths. So what are those key steps that we need the machine to do? We just want to outline those.
And where do we put them? Do we just write them down on
honestly, Dale, it's as simple as that. It can be dot pointed out. If we like boxes and lines and diagrams, we can draw them on our whiteboard, and there's some cool tools like Lucid Chart out there which allows you to draw this stuff out, but it doesn't need to be very complicated at all.
So think of it like just a checklist to sort of get started.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
A set of activities that you want to repeat every time.
Okay, so you put down the process. Number 3 is to know the outcome. So explain that.
Yeah, so this is actually really, really important, Dale. Knowing what the result is that we're trying to achieve, the metrics, the numbers, if you like. So in the context of email marketing, maybe we want to generate 1,000 leads based on our little lead capture form online, or maybe we want to send out 10,000 emails and get a certain open rate or conversion rate. Knowing those numbers is really important because it's going to be like business, it's about trying something, testing it, and then adapting your business. Automation, very much the same. We may not get it right the first time. We've got to put something in place, a set of steps, see if it works for us, and then be able to assess that and change it. And a lot of these tools are so easy to do that. We can keep evolving and adapting our business as we go.
All right, so the first one was about knowing where to start, picking, kind of like something that you want to actually improve, and then documenting just in simple form, what is the process, just putting it down in a list or maybe a pretty diagram if you can. Then getting clear on the outcome, that was number 3, what's the result that you ultimately want. Number 4 is then to choose the right tool. Now that's coming at number 4, not number 1.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.